Hi, my name is Bruce Enloe. I'm a general manager at the Two Rivers Food Hub in Smiths Falls and the owner of the branch restaurant in Kemptville. I'm usually better at talking for an hour than I am for 5 minutes, so we'll have to see how this goes. The story I'd like to tell is, since I'm a chef by training, that's what I've done for the last 25 years or so, is what 5 minutes made me think of was a perfect 5-minute meal. Of course, obviously a food lover as well. My favorite 5-minute meal was back in 1998. This was the first one that occurred to me, but it also is really relevant to what we're doing here and at the Food Hub. And it was a perfect pasta primavera. The pictures aren't really related. These are pictures from the Food Hub. It was a perfect pasta primavera. It was something that I was with a couple of farmers on their farm. And it was one of those perfect days, and all the vegetables were still hot from the sun. We picked them out in the field, and we walked up to the house, and we cooked the meal, and it was a perfect meal on a perfect day, which is exactly what you want. You never forget those kind of meals. Back in 1998, I was a sous chef and a purchaser for Millennium Restaurant in San Francisco. That's why I got to meet these farmers. That's why I got to be out on their farm. It was very lucky for me to be at their kitchen table. And it was one of the things that kind of brought me into that food world even more. I was the farmers were Tony and Susan from Animalito's farm, which was a little farm in Sonoma County. And they have an interesting story, and I think it's a story we've probably all heard. It was a couple of small organic veggie farmers. They had a good selection of products. They had a few customers at their farm gate and then farmers market, and then they grew to the point where they had some chefs that wanted to buy their food, so they were driving their food up into the city every week, which was good for a little while, but I think everybody knows what happens when you're just driving 2 or 3 boxes of produce to the city is that doesn't really work forever if you're doing your own distribution. At this point, a lot of farmers make a couple of decisions. One of them is that they can either get bigger and they can outcompete all their neighbors, or they can maybe take a job off the farm, or pay for it that way. They can go small. So it's a go big or go home kind of philosophy. Tony and Susan did something different. They actually went out to all the other farmers in their neighborhood, the ones that should have been their competitors, and they looked at them and they saw collaborators, they saw partners. So they went and they got all of their neighbors together, and they started putting all these foods that all of them were putting together and driving up into the city onto one list. Over time, they built a warehouse. Over time, they got a big truck. And they had a little company that was called Terra Sonoma. What they had essentially created was a food hub. And that was something that I don't think they ever called it that. It was just something that grew naturally out of their partnerships and out of their collaborative spirit with their neighbors. The large conventional food system has a competitive advantage, and none of us are questioning that, I don't think. They have an economy of scale that we can't really compete with yet, because that's how you get prices down as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I do think that we have an advantage in the local foods movement, and it's related to this. It's that thing that happens in that last half hour of every farmer's market that all of us are at, where you see all the farmers talking to each other. It's the thing that happens in rooms like this, where we're all meeting each other, some of us for the first time, some of us for the third time. It's where you're looking around, and instead of seeing competitors, we start to see collaborators, we start to see partners. At the Two Rivers Food Hub, which are one of the pictures that you're seeing, we've actually grown pretty quickly in a short period of time, and I think it's all because of our ability to look and see collaborators instead of competitors. So we're working with people instead of working to outcompete them. We're trying to out-collaborate. We have commercial kitchen spaces. The reason that we're able to maintain and operate with multiple clients is because we think of them as partners. We give them the tools to do the jobs themselves and kind of keep those systems going without having to be their bosses or having to kind of subsume them or try to own them. We do the same with our distribution by working with Wendy and Rick at Wendy's Mobile Market, and we've also been able to work with Fitzroy Beef as a partnership, and now we're doing beef aggregation in-house as well. That's our advantage. We have a collaborative advantage, is what I like to think of it. But there's even one more thing that ensures that we'll succeed in the motives that we have to succeed in this local foods movement, and I think that it all goes back to that day that I was on the farm with Tony and Susan. It was that day that we were out picking those hot, fresh veggies off the vines. We were walking back up to the house, we were firing up that pan, boiling the pasta. And it was when you put everything together and have that perfect meal on a perfect day, that's our real